Good morning. Good morning. It's 7:30. Welcome to Breakfast with Bridgett, live on News 6 Plus streaming app and clickorlando.com. I'm your host, Bridgett Ellison. Happy Wednesday to you. Hope you are managing to stay cool because we are really heating up out there this week. Meteorologist Candace Campos is here with us in the Pinpoint Weather Center talking about this heat. And Candace, I have a doctor coming up in a few minutes to talk about how it affects, our heart and our vascular system. And
hmm
even Trooper Steve mentioned this morning how it makes us cranky too.
Yeah. I mean, when just simple tasks that we had for the last couple of months, we didn't break into sweat. Now, any simple little thing from just trying to touch the steering wheel or buckle the kids into the car seat or walk into the grocery store, everything is just hot and annoying. And that's exactly the kind of weather we're talking about. So it's really timely, Bridget. I'm so happy that you're talking to a doctor about that because although we don't technically have any heat advisories in place, it's still below that criteria. It's still certainly a shock to the system.
Mm-hmm.
It stresses people out a little bit and it stresses out our bodies as well. So let's talk a little bit about that. With your weather headlines for the next few days, we're going to continue to see those temperatures warming up. The rain chances are going to dwindle as we head into our afternoon today, as well as tomorrow, with highs potentially even soaring into those low 90s. I'm sorry, upper 90s, low 90s along our coastline. But with that being said, there will be that potential of seeing a couple of our areas actually getting close to record values. Records, by the way, that we've been having since about a century ago. Some records set back since 1915, 1916. So certainly a very big shock to the system. So as we continue to move across the next few hours, temperatures are going to be back into the mid 90s. You can see 95 by about 2 p.m. We'll be up to about 96 as we head into the afternoon. So certainly by far the hottest day of the year right now. The hottest day in Orlando, for instance, is 92 so far this year. We're going to get up to 96 today in Orlando and Sanford. Sanford, by the way, could be the one closest to a record. That record of 95 set back in 2009. Daytona Beach and Melbourne, you guys will still be in the upper 80s. Certainly a warm day. It'll be feeling like the 90s, but you'll still be a few degrees off of the record highs. When it comes to even hotter temperatures, we're looking at a high today of 96. Your high Thursday will be a high of 98 degrees. Now, I like showing you this graphic because although we're talking about temperatures in the upper 90s, at least we're not dealing with the summer humidity that tends to shoot up those heat indices into 110, 115. We're not going to experience that. But listen, at the end of the day, if it feels like 100 degrees, it feels like 100
Right.
degrees in May. So it's certainly, again, something that we're not used to because we haven't had to deal with that so far this year. So here, and of course, the doctor is going to go over this as well. And a lot more detailed here, but wearing the lightweight clothing, the light colored clothing, we need to start transitioning more into that summer mentality where we will need to start thinking and listening to our bodies when it comes to that heat exhaustion. But there will be changes, Bridget, ahead in the forecast. We're going to be watching this cold front. You can see each afternoon we all warm up. We'll get into those oranges. But that cold front comes through late Friday and into Saturday. And then we'll have another front to our north that will come through on Monday. And that will be bringing us a little bit of a break from this grip of summer heat. So Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, it's going to be about the storms. That 30% chance, if it came earlier in the day, it wouldn't be as hot. But we're still talking about the rain chances coming in late Friday, early Saturday, which is why we'll have about a 20% chance of rain on Saturday. Temperatures on Sunday for your Mother's Day, we're talking about temperatures right where they should be for this time of the year, into the upper 80s, and we'll stay in the 80s for a nice chunk of next week as we are kind of reintroducing those afternoon showers and thunderstorms. Does this mean, Bridget, that we could have we kickstart our rainy season? We can't really tell until we're actually into rainy season. We said, yep. Remember that day back in May when this rain started and it never stopped each afternoon? That's when we'll know rainy season has begun. But on average, our rainy season here in Central Florida tends to start between May 27th and May 30th. So we're around that range, give or take a week or so. But again, the big story is going to be about the heat. We joked about it. I said, if another person asks me if I can do something about this heat, when I see them, I'm walking into the grocery store, I'm waiting for my kids to get out of their after school stuff. They're like, hey, Candace, can you do something about this heat? No, I can't. I can't do anything about this
Yeah,
heat. We're all suffering,
we
and
are.
just find creative ways of staying cool. That's all I've got to
Yes.
say.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right. It's definitely here. So thank you, Candace. And
you're welcome.
I'm gonna swing on over to Trooper Steve here, and he's the one who said he's in a bad mood because of the heat. And I think we can concur with that because it really does something to you. It's like you want to cool off the car or make sure you have the window shade up to try to keep it manageable right now.
Yeah, you just get real edgy real quick over little things, and it's just like, all right, got to remind yourself it is hot out there, so just consciously be aware of your nervous system, maybe a little bit while you're out and about. Of course, in this heat the next few
How are
days.
those drivers doing out there with the heat?
Unfortunately, we did just have a fatal crash come
Oh
out of
no.
Lake County. So this is going to be right just west of Orange, close to Winter Garden, that 429 Porter Avalon area. Our residents out there know exactly where I'm talking about. So Schofield and 5 Mile Road, there is a report that this possibly has 2 fatalities on scene, but we know for sure that there is a death involved in this. So Schofield and 5 Mile, it's between 27 and 429. East and westbound out here is going to be shut down. Give you a little reference. We're north of 27, Citrus Ridge area. So just please be careful. We'll have an update as the morning continues. So I-4 in Volusia looking pretty good over at the 104. So pretty good start. We're maintaining pretty well. What we had out there was mostly minor, except for the fatal that just happened a little while ago. 28 minutes, Kissimmee to Colonial Drive, and then Lake Mary Boulevard westbound to Colonial Drive, 25 minutes. So that went up pretty high rather quickly. Econ and Lake Douglas, we're calling this clear. And then out here, this one came out a little while ago at Terrace Drive and Apopka Vineland out in the Pine Hills area, just north there of the 408 and west of Hiawassee. The coast, beautiful place to be to include your roadways. No problems out along 528. My shot of Exploration Tower is not as nice as Candace's, but it's out there off into the distance. Cape Canaveral, good morning to you. A1A through Banana River towards 520, nice and clear. East and westbound through the Cocoa area. Great morning maybe to go out towards Cocoa Village and enjoy breakfast, nice cup of coffee, maybe a bagel. Can you tell? That's exactly what I want. 95 southbound towards Vieira. We're also looking good. If you're headed out towards the airport, nice and clear. And then just the school zone just south of there along Boggy Creek's the only thing that I'm watching that's a little busy this morning. Drive times across Central Florida, looking good and routine, Bridgett. So nice and smooth. There'll be a Trooper Steve on patrol at 8:30 while I'm sitting in a training class this morning, but hopefully we can preview the new platform that we're going to be showing you guys on Friday. Fingers crossed. Candace and I are like, not sure if it's going to happen, but we'll see. We'll see hopefully how this all turns out. But I'm excited to bring you guys new
Yeah.
stuff, so we'll see how it goes.
All right. Excited to see that. Thanks, Trooper Steve.
Bye.
Bye. We have a little bit of news to get to, and then, like I said, we will talk to the doctor about the heat and how it affects your heart. But first, an update on a story we've been following as breaking news on the morning news this morning in Port Orange, where there was a deadly shooting. Investigators say a man died last night along Elda Lane after being shot multiple times, and a suspect, 40-year-old Santiago Hernandez Castrodad, was arrested. This is new information we've just learned in the past hour or so, and he is facing second-degree murder charges. Police have not said yet what led up to this deadly shooting out in Port Orange. And some big news about Brightline and Brevard County commissioners approved some funding, millions of dollars in tourist tax funding to help pay for a Brightline station in Cocoa. And News 6's Ezzy Castro has more on why this is not a done deal just yet.
There's a great train track rolling down the roads with beautiful new trains, and we have the ultimate location in the entire state of Florida.
Commissioners in Brevard County gave the green light to spend $5 million in tourist taxes to help bring a Brightline station to the Space Coast. The vote came after several residents and Brightline officials spoke in support of it, though some commissioners raised questions about just how much benefit the new station would bring.
There are other stops along the way: West Palm Beach, Boca Raton, Fort Lauderdale, and Aventura. Those probably would be, my guess, the best estimates for people that actually get off the train. My question: did you use any of those numbers to extrapolate the dollar figures that you were putting up here?
The Brightline station will be built on a site near Clear Lake Road, just south of State Road 528 in Cocoa, with Brightline donating land for the project as well as taking care of the station's operating costs.
All right, we'll keep you posted on the latest developments with that plan for the Cocoa stop for Brightline. Now to the heat and your heart. This morning, we have Dr. Ross Goodfellow from Health First with us to talk about this. And I don't know if you heard what I was talking about with our meteorologist, Candace Campos, a moment ago, but it's just a little bit warm, a little bit sooner this week than we anticipated. And so a lot of people are shocked by this heat, Doctor. Good to have you with us.
Thanks. Nice to be here.
When it comes to the heat, you say that it's all about just making sure you're listening to your body.
Yeah, I think so. Once the heat shows up around this time of the year, particularly here down in Central Florida, we need to sort of acclimatize and get used to it, just like anything else. And certainly we need to listen to our body and make sure we don't overdo it first day out there, so that we can sort of adjust over days and weeks and months into the summer, which I guess lasts till about October down here. So.
Mm-hmm. And we talked about how it can be aggravating, or it's like your fuse is shorter when you're out in the heat. But there are real symptoms to watch out for, warning signs that you're getting too much heat.
Yeah, absolutely. And these can really range from, just overly thirsty, fatigue, feeling overly thirsty, fatigued, to irritability, as you pointed out, all the way through to muscle cramps, and eventually things like sort of difficulty concentrating, all the way down to lightheadedness and even passing out. So we definitely do need to try to not get to that point, and listen to our bodies, and make some decisions to avoid getting to the latter stages of heat exhaustion, heat stroke, etc.
So, Dr. Goodfellow, what is happening inside of our bodies with our heart and our vascular system when it comes to excessive heat?
Sure. So, the brain has a center that kind of regulates our temperature. Normal body temperature is somewhere around 37 degrees Celsius or 98 Fahrenheit. When we're out in the heat for periods of time, obviously it's going to be the body needs to make some adjustments in order to maintain that core body temperature, particularly for active, for example, athletes, but really anybody who's outside for any extended period of time. And one of the main mechanisms that the body uses is to cause the peripheral vasculature, the arteries and capillaries, etc., to dilate in the periphery to try to dissipate heat via the skin, through sweating and other evaporation of sweat and other modalities, in order to try to get rid of some of that excess heat. Obviously, that's a bigger strain on the heart and cardiovascular system. The heart is going to work harder, heart rate goes up. What we call contractility, or the strength with which the heart is squeezing with every beat, will increase. We don't think about these things as kind of a reflex. So that's the normal sort of physiologic response to heat. And obviously, those folks who may have cardiac issues need to be especially careful if they're spending any kind of significant time outside when it's this hot.
And when we think about people most at risk, or people who might find themselves caught off guard by this, of course, this is a popular area to visit. Many people coming in from cooler climates can be caught off guard with a full day at the theme parks.
Yeah, absolutely. Not a lot of shade. We're kind of anxious to, kind of see and do as much as we can. But I think that particularly people from cooler climates, really short times in the heat, trying to get out of the heat, into the shade, into the air conditioning. And because there is a process, even for sort of elite athletes, that it'll take several weeks of them even practicing and training to be able to spend more significant times outside, training and practicing. So certainly for lay people that are coming down from cooler climates, want short intervals in the heat, remaining well hydrated even before we go outside to make sure our tank is full before we to try to limit hydration before we go outside.
And as we get into the summer, we talk about the sports camps. And then as we get closer to school getting ready to go back, we have our sports teams that are starting those practices. And of course, sometimes they try to work around it with different times of day to alleviate some of those temperature highs. But you say that it's slow and steady as far as ramping or working yourself up to longer periods of time practicing outside or playing outside or working outside.
Absolutely. Heat-related illness is a cause of problems even in younger people, athletes, etc. They're kind of coming back for maybe football camp or soccer camp before the season starts in the fall, and it's all about as you pointed out, maybe early in the day or late in the day practices, being outside for short periods of time, kind of giving them frequent breaks, water breaks, etc. Getting into the air-conditioned space, and then over 1 to 2 weeks at least, sort of ramping up to their sort of more full routine practice to allow their bodies to acclimatize, if you will, to the heat.
Mm-hmm. And what happens if a person experiences heat exhaustion? We see it where maybe a child unfortunately is left in a hot car, and of course it gets hot much faster than the temperature outside, or someone's overexposed to heat, maybe in a sauna or a jacuzzi tub. So what happens when someone is suffering deadly heat exhaustion?
Yeah, unfortunately, we do see that sort of every year, but and it is a leading cause of death in even younger athletes that don't take their proper precautions. Usually it starts with dehydration, irritability, as you pointed out earlier, maybe muscle cramps, loss of electrolytes, sodium, potassium is lost in sweat. And if that's not repleted quickly, that can lead to other things such as low blood pressure, cardiac arrhythmia, this kind of thing. And it could lead to heat stroke or heat exhaustion where there's confusion, mental status changes, that kind of thing, which can ultimately be fatal, especially if there's severe electrolyte imbalance causing cardiac arrhythmia.
So what can we do to try to, save someone or help someone in trouble from the heat or having trouble out in the heat?
Sure. Well, obviously, prevention is key, right? Remaining hydrated, as we talked about before we go out there. But should someone start developing the symptoms, muscle cramps, that kind of thing, repleting, hydrating with water and sports drinks that have sodium, potassium, all those electrolytes, magnesium that are necessary. If it gets to the next level where folks are having irritability, confusion, certainly we need to get them out of the heat as quickly as we can, put them in the shade or preferably air conditioning, sort of cool compresses on their head. If it gets to more advanced stages, then sometimes they need, cold shower or even ice baths, cold water immersion to try to rapidly bring that temperature down, which really is going to allow the body to function more normally and hopefully avoid any of those more dangerous complications.
How do you know if you need to go to the ER, get someone to the ER, or call 911?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think if someone is, starting to experience confusion, this kind of thing, and the initial sort of in the field, measures, cold water, maybe dousing them with a hose, getting them into the shade or the air conditioning. If that doesn't rapidly return them to sort of a normal functional status in terms of their mental faculties and their ability to maintain consciousness, then that would definitely be the time to call 911 and get them to the nearest emergency room to make sure they can be sort of adequately treated before there's any major complication.
All right. Well, doctor, I want to just end on children because you mentioned to me that we have to really keep an eye on them because they're less aware of what's happening in their bodies.
Yeah, absolutely. Kids just want to go out there and kind of give it 110% until they can't. So I think making sure the kids are dressed appropriately, obviously sunscreen and that kind of thing for to protect their skin, and help reflect some of that sun-induced heat. But making sure they're hydrated before they go out there, taking frequent breaks, encouraging them to drink while they're out there. And then certainly when they're kind of taking a break, getting them out of the sun into the shade, or limiting their prolonged exposure out in the extreme heat, 95 or whatever it's supposed to be today. Certainly limiting the time that they're outside.
All right. Do you suggest a certain amount of minutes to go before you take a break, or make sure you take a break this many times per hour or every 30 minutes? What's a good rule of thumb generally?
Yeah, that's kind of hard to say. It really depends on the person. Sort of an elderly person who maybe is not well conditioned would probably be obviously shorter periods of time versus an elite athlete. But certainly, I think even athletes who are in good shape and used to exerting themselves, they really should be drinking probably every 15 minutes and repleting what they're losing pretty rapidly through sweat and through dissipating heat through the skin.
All right. Well, this is serious stuff. Nothing to play with for sure.
That is true. That is true. Hopefully we can minimize the amount of bad outcomes that happen with this heat in Florida.
Yes, for sure. Dr. Ross Goodfellow from Health First, thank you for being with us this morning.
Great. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. So, like the doctor said, work your way up to spending more and more time outside. Take those frequent breaks. Make sure you're hydrated before you even head out there to be outside for a while. And, watch out for the children too, because sometimes they might not realize that they're getting overheated or dehydrated. But we'll have more on that on clickorlando.com so you can share it as well. Before we go today, we want to talk about hardening your home, because it is Hurricane Preparedness Week. And it's not just about making sure you have like those non-perishables, but making sure your property is ready. Mike Holfeld has more from Florida CFO on how to get some lower insurance rates by making sure your home's ready.
Mike, the tide is turning. I had a carrier tell me this week they're going to make an application with the state to lower insurance rates.
Florida CFO Jimmy Petronis offering a glimmer of hope as homeowners struggle with rising home insurance rates.
So potential cuts are coming.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Now look, the cuts are coming off a number that hit up here.
Well, no, I know.
So, but it's going the right way.
The right way, as the state continues its tax exemption offer for residents who want to install impact-resistant windows, doors, or garage doors to lower those home insurance rates.
If you put $10,000 worth of windows and doors on your house and you get it sales tax free, that's a big savings.
The tax exemption is 6 or 7% depending on where you live. A $10,000 investment at 6% sales tax saves you $600. 7%, $700. The deadline for the exemption is June 30th, but Petronis says there's another cash option to lower those rates.
Money from the state and a sales tax exemption.
Governor DeSantis approved an additional $200 million for My Safe Florida home applications. Applications are starting July 1st through the 15th for low-income homeowners 65 and over, with additional groups through August 31st. For more information, go to clickorlando.com. Mike Holfeld, Getting Results, News 6.
All right, some good information there. And now we want to tell you about a great good news story. Dozens of local high school students got some surprises. 30 students from Jones High School learned they are getting big scholarships for college, and this will cover more than just classes. Mark Lehman has more on that big surprise.
It was a special day at Jones High School. 30 seniors presented with college and vocational school scholarships, providing a lifeline for students who dream of higher education. What does this scholarship mean to you?
This scholarship basically means to me an opportunity to get a better life.
Hope Holland is preparing to become a first-generation college student. The scholarships from the Rosen Foundation covering not only tuition, but also room and board and books.
It really shows that he really cares about our community and wants us to achieve better.
Hope is talking about hotel entrepreneur Harris Rosen, who started the scholarship program 30 years ago in Tangelo Park.
It's amazing and the number of graduates from high school have increased dramatically to almost 100%. And college admissions have increased enormously and changed their lives.
The scholarships awarded today comes after the Rosen Foundation expanded to Jones High School in 2016. To date, hundreds of students have received scholarships, all of this to help students pursue their education with a goal of graduating debt-free. Valedictorian Carriana Nelson received a full ride to Rollins College.
I'm ready to go off and explore, but then again, I know I'm going to miss my family and I'm going to miss having that in-house support system.
But I'm sure you're excited.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
And also appreciative of the opportunity. The students ready to carve their own path in the world.
It's been a very long journey. I'm just very grateful to be here today and be able to receive this money so I can pursue my dreams and go to college.
In Orlando, Mark Lehman getting results, News 6.
That's life-changing right there. We want to tell you about a couple of things on clickorlando.com. You'll want to head over to the Insider page. Sign up to be an Insider. If you're not one, make sure you're entering to win a family 4-pack of tickets to Discovery Cove, where you swim with dolphins, and they even have the flamingos out there now that you can go up to and feed, and part of a special experience. You have now through next Tuesday to enter to win that. And don't forget, we're hitting the road, and we are going to Lake County, Montverde, 34756, and we want to hear from you about the stories out there in Montverde. Go to clickorlando.com/hitstheroad. We will be at Kirk Park on the 17th, Kathleen. Is it? I think that's the 17th. We will be posting all that information for you on clickorlando.com. But that's going to do it for us for now. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 7:30 for more breakfast. And Weatherwise with Jonathan Kekis is up next. Make it a great day.